Hi, this is Tina Lorenz at Authentic Copy, and today I'm going to give you a marketing minute that I hope is really going to help you with something that's kind of a mind bender for many people when they're in copywriting, trying to write their marketing copy, just trying to get their sales letters started, and that is how to write headlines. Headlines are something that can kind of scare people when they're first starting out and they have no idea how to begin, or they go on way too long, or they, make it way too complicated. No, there's lots of headlines from the past that people draw inspiration from. You'll see them all the time, such as, "Who else wants to," fill in the blank, or "They laughed when I," fill in the blank, where people have taken an old headline and kind of refurbished it into something new. The problem is, if everybody uses the same old headlines over and over again, it gets stale, and it gets so, people just numb out. They don't even see it anymore, or they just kind of assume, oh, this is a beginner, or this is someone who doesn't really have a clue how to get more with the program and more current with how they write a headline. Now, I'm known for my headlines. I've been called one of the best headline writers out there today, and the reason for that is they result in very high converting letters. It draws people into the sales letter, converting as high as 37%, and with huge launches online. And I've kind of discovered some formulas along the way that have helped me with creating those really compelling headlines. Now, sometimes the headline does not have to be very, very long. It used to be, even a few years ago, a lot of us wrote way longer headlines that were much more complicated and took up half the page all by themselves. Now I'm really liking to go for a more punchy, shorter, get to the point, fast hit kind of headline that really grabs the attention. The whole purpose of your headline is to have your prospect read the next line of copy. Draw them in with curiosity, with something that addresses a problem that they're having, that gets right to the point very quickly and draws them into the copy of, oh, this is relevant to me. Oh, this is something I want to know, or I've been looking for, and they're going to pull them into the copy. So remember, the first thing is the whole point of your headline is to get them to read the next line. It doesn't have to do the entire job of the entire sales message. It's not riding on its shoulders all by itself, but you do need to draw them in, and reflect that back later on in your copy. You have to, take something from that headline and prove what you said or refer to what you said so that it all becomes very congruent. Now, there's a couple ways that I write headlines, and I'm going to tell you about one today that I use all the time and that you can start using immediately. A resource for headline ideas, and that is magazines. A couple that I really, really like, Prevention Magazine, for example, even though it's health-oriented, looking on the cover of the magazines in your newsstand and the bookstores, wherever you are, where there are magazines on the rack. Another resource is magazines.com. Go in and take a look at what's on the cover. Even the National Enquirer, they have excellent headline writers, and you might think that has nothing to do with what I sell, but that's the point. When the artful inspiration from a headline comes from taking an existing headline and then refining it, giving it some changes, and really restructuring it to meet your niche, your market, your way of speaking to your prospects. Okay, let's take an example. On this Prevention Magazine, for example, right over here, there's a headline that says, "Secrets for a Safer Hospital Stay. #1, don't have surgery in July." Now, that's an excellent headline, and it kind of harkens back to one that has been out there for a long time about how to travel safely on an airline. And one of the things that one said is what not to eat when you're flying. I mean, that's definitely piques everybody's interest. So, for example, secrets for safer flying. #1, never fly on Thursday afternoons. Now, again, I'm just making these up. I don't know that there's a factual reason why not to fly on a Thursday afternoon, but you would be doing your research, or you would know what the content was of your product, and you draw on that and you echo it in your headline. So today I'm just giving you examples right off the top of my head that aren't necessarily factual, but just to show you how you can take that headline, "Secrets for a Safer Hospital Stay, #1, don't have surgery in July." Let's say you're dealing with relationship issues or happy marriages. "Secrets for a happier marriage, #1, never forget the anniversary." I mean, that's pretty basic. I think that one's pretty factual. But you can take the idea of the headline and make it fit for your product. Now another one of my favorites, and you're going to recognize, I think, going to recognize her immediately. Here she comes. Oprah. Oprah magazine is a rich resource for headlines off of their cover. Anything that's on a magazine cover, guaranteed it's working or it would not be there. And many of the magazines have a very formulaic approach. You'll see similar kinds and styles of headlines on their cover every month. That's not your imagination, and it's not an accident. It's on there because it works. For example, if you look at Men's Health magazine at magazines.com, you will see there are always numbers in their headlines. 1,745 ways to please your woman tonight, you know, whatever it might be, they always have numbers on their cover in the headlines. So that's another tip for you. Use numbers in your headlines. For example, back to our Prevention magazine example, Secrets for a Safer Hospital Stay, if you wanted to turn it into a relationship, like as we're talking about marriage, 8 secrets for a happier marriage. And then that would, of course, be in the product that, you know, you'd have to fit to your product, obviously. But to use a number and more specificity is also a way to power up your headline. Now, the one I was going to look at for you today on Oprah magazine says, Say Yes to Life, 28 Genius Ways to Get Unstuck and Make Your Dreams Real. Now, that's a great one for personal development right there. And if you were in that niche, you'd want to adjust. You'd still want to adjust and not take that directly. Say yes to your best life yet. 15 blissful ways to get unstuck and make your dreams a reality. You know, that's just an adjustment of that existing headline that turns into your headline for your product. Let's say you were in another niche completely and you thought, well, this is a cool headline. I like the number. It's you know, it really grabs your attention. Let's say you're in the market right now for how a person can buy a home when it's much more difficult for people to qualify these days and they're renting. So let's say that you had a product for that. We could say something like, say yes to homeownership. You know, 15 ways to quit renting and make homeownership your new reality. Something like that. That inspiration comes from that headline. Okay, so I hope that these are helpful ideas for you. It's just start looking at those magazine covers and thinking about how could I use that. And by the way, bullets are another thing that can come from your magazine cover ideas, and we'll talk about that another day, as well as emails and subject lines. But for today, these are a couple of tips on how you can find some great, sweet inspiration for writing those compelling headlines that are going to make your prospects dive right into that sales material and stick with you all the way to the sale. I hope you found this helpful. Until next time, this is Tina Lorenz with Tina's Marketing Minutes.